All right, we are live on Facebook for another Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate. We come on here every week to just educate you guys about the real estate industry and give you the perspective from our professional opinions. We are local professionals along the Treasure Coast, and we want to make sure that you guys are educated on real estate on these different topics. So every week we come at you with a new topic. We go live every Thursday at 2 p.m. My name is Lucy McGuire with Arrow Title Services, and I host this meeting every week. So I am so thankful for all of the amazing professionals who come on here to share their thoughts and their professional opinions about everything that's going on. So today's topic is a very important one in our industry. It is humans, well, we've called it humans versus the machine. And you might be like, what does the machine mean? It's really just, there's a lot of resources that you can get online nowadays. You can go online and pretty much find anything. But there's this whole iBuyer system, and we'll get delve a little bit more deep into that a little later, but just the iBuyer system and how using a human and using someone who's local is how that's going to benefit you, or what the differences are from you using a service that is online. So we're going to delve into that. We have 3 different parts that go to this. We talk about the topic. Each of the local professionals on here talk about their portion of the topic, and then we have a discussion about it. Then the second portion of it is everybody gives their number 1 top tip in real estate, because things change in every week, and sometimes, we have new tips to give you. And then number 3, we go into any announcements that they might have. So super excited to talk about this topic. It's a really, really good one. So if you guys are tuning in, let's get into it. First up, we have Katey Bourgeois, and I'll go ahead and highlight your screen, Katey, and tell us what you think about the whole humans versus machine.
Thank you again, Lucy, for hosting this fantastic resource for potential buyers and sellers online. I'm happy to be here every week to give my 2 cents. So how about we start with an explanation of what we're talking about, a little more in depth. So in real estate, there are multiple ways to run a real estate brokerage or to invest in real estate. So what we're talking about, the machine, specifically, we're talking about iBuyers or other online resources that make promises, and you have to read the fine print. That goes for mortgage as well. Carol will talk a little bit about how you can, avoid problems with online service providers. And I wanted to kind of just lay it out. An iBuyer is a corporation of whatever name that is marketing to potential home sellers. So if you own a property, you might see some advertisements: sell your home in no time for cash. These big lofty promises coming from an iBuyer type corporation. They are coming into our market, so we are wanting to inform the general public as well as any potential sellers right now, so that you can go into a conversation well informed with either a realtor, your human realtor, or your local expert, or a corporation out of another state that just wants to trade you convenience for cash. So there are some pros and cons with an iBuyer. If you are looking to trade convenience for money, that might be a good option for you. If you are trying to get the maximum profit out of your property, you need to do some research on these. The particular iBuyers that I'm aware of, they offer a lower price, a lower than market value in most cases. So they're giving you less than what maybe you would get from the general public had you had the opportunity to market to potential buyers. So with that, they're paying less because they're paying cash and supposedly quickly. Sometimes you can choose your own closing date, and some companies will actually pay you to move out. So that doesn't necessarily make up for the gap in the value that you might have gotten profit-wise in your property. So, there are fees associated with any sale, with any transfer. There are going to be fees associated with it. So with a human being, with a realtor, a local expert, you know what those fees are up front. We're going to have a listing appointment. We're going to look at the property. We're going to look at all the comparable market sales and show you what the market's doing so that you can maximize your exit. And we lay out all the fees for you. We give an estimate of what those closing costs might be in addition to our success fee. The work that we do, we get paid at closing, and we don't get paid unless it sells. With the iBuyer, it's a little different. I've not seen one of their contracts, but I'm hearing across the nation from other realtor partners and friends across our United States where they're doing this. They've done about 150 or more. They've probably done more than 150,000 transactions, but there are 5 million homes sold every year. So there's a little bit of information out there that the realtors are gathering and we're sharing with each other. And part of that contract that you contract to sell your property to an iBuyer, there are hidden fees, and I've heard are as much as 10 to 14% of the sale price. So if you're talking about a realtor versus iBuyer, you really are trading a lot of convenience for your potential money. So you're paying for that convenience. My intention is to help educate the family that wants to buy another home or needs to relocate out of the area, or they're just changing their lifestyle. I want them to get as much money out of that property as possible. So I encourage, call a local expert. You can explore the iBuyer. You can ask them what they'll pay you for your home, but also please call a local expert, because most likely we're going to be able to give you a lot more information on that property, give you a comparable market analysis, and help you identify what your costs are going to be up front. I'm sure Cody and Antonella and Alannah have some other, points to add to that. I just kind of wanted to give a quick overview so that you kind of understand a little bit as we move into this conversation, and then maybe circle back if I don't hear a couple of the other tips and tricks that I'd like to add. So for now, Katey Bourgeois with the Bourgeois Real Estate Group. You can reach us at 772-444-6989. We'll talk to you about what your property is worth and what the pitfalls, pros and cons might be between a human realtor and an iBuyer machine.
Thank you, Katey. Always a wealth of knowledge, and you really laid that out really well. I think that you explained it and started off the conversation perfectly. So let's go to Cody Fletcher next. Cody, please share with us what you think about humans versus machines.
Realtor, Cody Fletcher. It's a subject of mine, so I'm just gonna give my thoughts on this subject. I guess my point of view is the customer service aspect of it. So, since the beginning of time, with business, whoever had the greatest value for the least money got the business. There's always competition, and that competition always drove people to work hard and do better. They got to the point where, we started to have, undercutting. I want to kind of go back to when I had the transportation business, right? So throughout, amongst all the competition, whoever had the best value for the least amount of money, they got the business. But in the cab business, with people, it didn't matter how low your price was or how great your value was, or even if you had the newest vehicle. If they didn't like your personality and they weren't comfortable with you, they weren't giving you the business, right? So then we got into undercutters, and it's like, okay, you can still get around that because, you can still educate the public, and you have your turn to argue why you were better than the competition. But in came these online platforms, right? You don't have to talk to anybody anymore. You open an app, you order your cab, and even when you get in the car, you don't have to talk to the guy or gal because they already know where you're going. You don't even have to tip them directly. So, it might be two of you sitting in the vehicle, but you really don't have to talk. And, that driver's on to the next one. And then now they're talking about having driverless vehicles. So there won't be anybody in the car for you to talk to, right? And then it's like you can do everything online now. You can buy houses, you can buy cars, you can get a loan, you can buy groceries, have everything delivered to your home. Like you don't have to talk to anybody. It's like, you know, the competition at one point was trying to, you know, undercut you or steal the business from you. Now it seems like what's going on here is that, you know, we're trying to.
Oh, we might have lost him a little bit right there. Cody?
I'm sure we all have a lot to say about this. I'm sure he'll finish up in a minute.
Yeah. He's on a good track here. We'll see if he pops back on.
We're all loving it. We don't want it to stop prematurely.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, when he comes back on, we'll come back to him, but we'll go on to the next for now. And maybe we'll hear from the mortgage side of things, break it up a little bit before we come back onto the realtor portion. So Carol, if you'd like to take the floor on the mortgage side.
Hey everybody, Carol Doles here with Gateway Mortgage. So what I want to talk about, I'm assuming, is app-based lenders and internet-based lenders. The majority of them, like if you just go and fill out an app with, you know, download an app for a mortgage, you aren't communicating with anybody. And if you do call in, it's pretty much a call center. You never know who you're going to get on the other line. And you never know every time you call in who's going to be answering the phone. Whereas when you work with a local lender like myself, who's been in the business over 30 years, you're going to get me every time you call me. It's going to be me and me alone. And I'm going to guide you through the process, through the entire loan until you're at closing. And I'm going to be with you at closing when you have those questions. So when the questions come up, you may not get your answers for a couple days when you're dealing with an app-based or an internet-based lender, and they're not local and they don't know your neighborhood, and you know they don't know what's going on in the community. And the turnaround time is probably not going to be as quick as a local lender is going to be, for sure. You know, we pride ourselves in closing our loans on time every time, whereas these other internet-based or app-based lenders, you're at their mercy and they don't care about deadlines because they're not local. They're not out here in our community seeing our realtors and our customers face to face. So you're just a number. That's the way I look at it. If you're dealing with someone on the internet or an app-based mortgage company. And I get that people, you know, the majority of the people, yeah, they want the lowest rate in town, and that might be the lowest rate in town, but you are not going to get the customer service that you're going to get from someone like me that's local, that I have a reputation that I want to uphold in my community so that I can continue to get the business from my local realtors. So that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely,
Questions
Carol.
about that? Is that what we're on?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I mean, I actually have a very, like, I've known people who have gone into that process and like spoken with mortgage companies over the phone. You know, they seem really helpful and nice and such like that. But at the end of the day, they're working that 9 to 5. And if you're working with a local lender, I'm sure you take calls sometimes after 5, a lot of the time after 5, Carol. Like, and you know,
Sunday.
You know, you're more available, you're able to answer questions, and you're not dodging calls. I mean, as from a title company perspective, we work with obviously a lot of mortgage companies, and you know, sometimes it's like they take them as a suggestion date, like the closing date, and we're like, we have a goal here. This is the goal. We're trying to make this goal, and they're just like, la-di-da, like, and they don't. Because it's just another deal to them. It's not, there's no human connection to it. And that's what's really important. That's what we're talking about right now. So it's, yeah, very, very great segment, Carol. Thank you. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but we'll go back into the realtor side of things. Antonella, I see Cody to get back on, but we'll get back to him in a second. Antonella, would you like to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually wanted to piggyback a little bit with what Carol said in regards to the fact that we are at the end the local expert, and it's not the local expert just because all of a sudden we know all the bars in towns and we know all of the parks in town or all of the good hot spots to go and eat. It's also because we know neighborhoods, we know how the market is going in a specific area of town. And this is what happened to me with an online lender. So I want to bring this this to the table because I think it's very, very important to, you know, showcase a little bit what happens when you do actually have to deal with, you know, an online lender. And all of a sudden, you know, they schedule an appraisal from somebody that cannot come to town. So, you know, they call you and they say, hey, can you, they actually call me and they ask me to get a picture of the third room because they didn't know if there was a closet in it. So obviously we all know that if there is a closet, it's an actual bedroom. If there is no closet, it's not a bedroom. So luckily this house was, you know, 45 minutes away from me. So it was okay. I would have done it anyway. But at the end of the day, the appraiser did an online evaluation of the house. So he didn't go. Sorry, I'm having. He did not go and see the neighborhood. He didn't know what the other houses were looking like. He couldn't appraise the house for the right value. So needless to say, we lost the deal. Now, again, going back to the fact that we're the local expert, not because, oh, okay, you know, I know there's a nice place to eat over there. There's Kyle G over there, or there, you know, there's a lot of places that where we can tell you to go have a good meal after you close the deal. But, you know, it's also the fact that we know exactly what your house is valued at, and we can guide you for it, and we can get you top dollars for it. You know, with an iBuyer, you have very little negotiation, or pretty much close to zero. So if you're looking for that top dollars, I'm sorry, you're looking in the wrong place. So in any case, I had a bunch of other
okay.
They just left me. So I'll go back to you, Lucy. My name is Antonella Zervopoulos with Atlantic Shores Realty, and we'll talk later.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll have a discussion portion, and we'll definitely be bouncing some ideas. Did you have something to say, Carol? Go ahead.
Yeah, can I chime in on exactly what she just said about the appraiser? Yep. We at Gateway use local appraisers that I know personally that are on our rotation. We are not going to have an outside independent company that we don't know who these people are, that don't know our community. The last thing I want to hear is a realtor calling me saying, why did you send an appraiser up here from Broward County? That's not happening. So that's the other benefit of having a local lender is our appraisers are local and they live in your community. They know your community.
Absolutely. And to that point too, a lot of times these outside lenders will force you through the application process just to get you going. And it might sound good initially, but there could be hidden fees, and it's not so good for you if you compare it to a local lender. Just because they're saying they're getting you this really good rate and like that's all you're focused on, you have to look at the big picture of closing costs, what they're charging you for those points, you know, all of those different things rolled into one because there's so many different fees. One thing might look good, doesn't mean the whole thing is good. It's like an iceberg, you know, there's a whole lot more to it. So and that's so important to be, you know, comparing multiple, talking to local people rather than just those lenders. So wanted to make that point too. Alannah, you're up.
Darling. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I've been having some technical difficulties over here. Okay. So I'm Alannah Ghazel with eXp Realty. And there were a couple really amazing points that I was going to touch on that have already been brought up. So I'm going to dig just a little bit deeper. To Lucy's point, what you just said, Lucy, it is so amazing how misconstrued quick is in terms of valuable. Quick is not always the most valuable. And to anybody who, you know, I want to do it myself. I want to show up with this already done. I want to be the self-empowered one. If you're listening right now, I want to challenge you to also consider the value of researching what is that best number? What is that best interest rate? Because just because one person tells you that you're getting the best that you can possibly get, why wouldn't you want to cross-reference that with a local lender? Even if yours was the best, online, like it was a shoo-in. Of course it was. Why wouldn't you ask for a second opinion? You know, if you know everything there is to know about it and you're a savvy shopper, that should be a no-brainer already. So just wanted to touch on that. And everybody has just been really chiming along to the same wave I'm flowing on. And that's that the value of somebody actually knowing what's going on in your community and their reputation being built on every single transaction they do. We want to use people that we know and that we trust and that we've worked with before, the people that we can communicate with and that we get great results from. Why would we want to work with somebody besides that? And why would we want to embarrass ourselves not doing the best that we can? So to the point of, you know, being able to find somebody online, they're literally just a number. I don't remember which one of my predecessors said that, but you literally become a number, and everything is subjective. And when there's no skin in the game on the part of the people representing you, because they're really just salary, and you know the next person will pick it up if they drop it, you don't want to be handled that way. And nobody wants to go through extra stress. That's the whole point to hiring a realtor or making a lender partnership that you trust. Like, the smooth sailing through the transaction is really where we are your champion, providing that flow. And that, I think, is what makes human better than machine in the end. So Lucy, I'll turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. Great
also,
points. What was that?
It's also a matter of being present throughout the whole process for your buyer or seller. So, you know, if you have a question in regards to a contract, if you have a question in regards to your timeline, when do, you know, okay, I want to put $5,000 now, and then I want to pay another $10,000. So a realtor will guide you through the process. You know, if you have, you know, buyers out there, they're definitely not going to do that. And if you have to close on a house and the house is full of belongings for the previous seller, they're not going to come and empty it for you, but I will. So just another one of, you know, by talking for experience here. So.
Absolutely. And Cody, I know you got cut off earlier because you had some technical difficulties. Go ahead and chime in.
Yes, Cody Fletcher here again with Bourgeois Real Estate Group. Today's lightning has jumped in. But I was saying, like, you know, it's the same thing. It's just customer service. Like, you know, you don't have to talk to anybody anymore. Everything is online now. Like, you know, what if you have a problem? So, you know, you call some customer service 800 number. You wait on hold for who knows how long to talk to somebody who really doesn't care about your situation, doesn't really know who you are. They're on to the next one. You know, our job as professionals is to understand you and your situation and get to know you so that we know what value we need to bring to you. You know, when you're, I mean, you know, online might be convenient, right? But like, you know, for instance, you know, I pay my bills online, you know, that's something different. So, you know, I don't want to sit on hold for customer service for 2 hours to pay my water bill. You know what I mean? So you do it online, right? But when it comes to big purchases like that, when it comes to all of the obstacles you might encounter, you want somebody who's going to go through that whole experience with you. You know, you want somebody who you can lean on, who you know will call the necessary parties to overcome those obstacles. So, you know, we go through those situations with you. We go through the problems with you. We celebrate the accomplishments with you. You know, it's like we have to get back to humanity. We have to stop allowing these outside entities to come in and push a whole industry out. I mean, look at how many jobs are being lost now, you know, because of technology, right? I mean, what happens when you don't have a cashier to talk to anymore? You know, you have robots making your fast food. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, to me, it's just getting to the point where we don't need humans anymore, and we got to get back to that humanity. So use a realtor, use a local lender, use, you know, your local professionals who can help you navigate everything, and not just a phone number where you're just a number. So those are my thoughts.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cody. And, you know, to that point too, I there was someone who I knew recently who was trying to use one of these online lenders, and she's like, oh, I can text them. They gave me a number to text, right? And it's like a 5-digit number. It's like literally your text is being sent to an email. Like it's not an actual text just because it's getting sent to an email. That doesn't mean it's going to get responded to any quicker. Like they're going to wait again until they get to the office the next day. Humans are never going to go obsolete at the end of the day, because the human connection is so important. And I mean, that's my opinion. Okay. That's my opinion. I think that we will not go obsolete because yes, technology keeps getting better and better, but it's not personal. It's not that human connection that we all need. And we've seen it time and time again nowadays, especially during coronavirus and everything, because social media has become so huge now. People are on social media more than they've ever been before, which is obviously an internet platform, but people are looking and trying to find that human connection because they haven't had it, because they've been stuck in their homes. They're literally craving it. They're like, I just want to get out of my house. I just want to see somebody, give me a face, you know? So it's like, we're at that point, and I don't think that it's ever going to, the internet is a powerful thing. The internet is a powerful thing, but you have to use it wisely. You have to be smart about it. And just know what you're getting yourself into. Everything might seem greener on the other side if you're looking at that, but you have to be careful, especially if this is the largest purchase you're making. One of the largest purchases you're ever gonna make in your entire life, guys. It's not a joke, okay? You have to know what you're signing at the end of the day. You have to just be smart, and I think that the smartest thing you could do is use a local professional. Does anybody else have any comment on that?
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, you know, they have to think about the psychological ramifications too with all of this AI stuff. You know, everything that glitters isn't always gold. So, I mean, just make sure you're not talking to a robot or, you know, someone who has no idea who you are or what your situation is, and you know, doesn't care about what the outcome is. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Well, and to that point, I mean, who doesn't want such a large purchase to have somebody you hold accountable? Who likes making that phone call because a product didn't show up in the mail that they ordered months ago, something didn't turn out the way that it was expected, and you can't get a person on the phone? Those are the kind of services that people get online, and they quibble about those experiences because they truly ruined what could have been a great experience with a great product. And I'll tell you another thing. Like, I don't really think that doing something online produces a sense of excitement about what you just accomplished. I mean, think about it. Everything that you have done online recently, renewed recently, whatever, at the end of it, I'm willing to bet that you felt a sense of relief. The relief that it's done, the relief that it went through fine, but there's not an element of, I did it. Oh my God, this is done. I don't have to think about it for 2 more years. That is literally wiring your brain. And what are you wiring it for? And is it bringing more joy to your day to day? Is it bringing that, like, to Lucy, you said it perfectly, and I agree with it. I wholeheartedly believe that the human connection cannot and will not become obsolete, and that the people it's valuable to, it's only going to become more and more valuable. That's my 2 cents.
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely. No, we're in discussion mode. Go.
Yeah. I mean, I even told Katey, I'm like ready to get the bullhorn out and gather everybody together to you know, shed light on this whole thing. Like, I remember talking to an investor. There was this website, this online brokerage, I guess. They charge you $99 to list your house, and then, you know, whatever their fee is at the end of it, I'm sure is more than what you would end up paying a realtor. But he had a house that was on the market for 278 days. And I'm trying to explain to this guy, I'm like, do you know how much money you're losing right now? Like, you are not going to get any realistic offers right now, because that's what everyone's going to look at. It's how long it's been on the market. They know that you can't sell that house, right? And because you wanted to save, you thought you were saving some money. Like, I think at the time I did the research, he lost about $50,000 on that house, if it even sold. But I mean, 278 days on the market to save a couple dollars. I mean, it's come on, man. You know?
Yeah, and all the mortgage payments he had to make, just doing that.
Holding costs alone is outweighing the benefit. So
Yeah, but who did he have to consult?
exactly.
Have to ask him.
Customer service.
So I have a couple more comments if I can jump in.
Yeah,
So
of course.
Lucy, what you're talking about with the internet, with great power comes great responsibility. And you know, we feel, you know, as humans, you know, doing this every day and providing a unique service for unique circumstances most of the time. I absolutely agree that the human is going to continue to be valuable, and it's up to us really to continue to tell and show what we do in order to, you know, get from the piece of paper to the closing table. There was so much in between, and we've done some sessions on Zoom about the transaction. I encourage people to go take a look at that. So the one thing that I also wanted to add that I thought maybe somebody else would chime in with is when you're talking about the contract, right? So if you go back and you listen to the transaction and the layout that we did in a prior video, you'll hear us talking about inspections. You'll hear about us talking about, you know, approval and deadlines. So I hinted that I have not actually seen a contract from an iBuyer, but from what I hear, I expect that what I will say is somewhat true. So repeating what I've heard, not from personal experience, but from others in our outside of our market that are dealing with iBuyers within their market, in the contract, there are built-in hidden fees. So you would pay a commission, or what we like to call a success fee, to the realtor that is agreed upon in writing in advance at the listing. The difference with the iBuyer, from what I understand, is that there are some fees built into their contract. So if there are repairs that are required by the iBuyer, you're automatically, as the seller, automatically obligated to make those repairs or reduce the price for them. This does not happen, according to my information, in the beginning of the contract like a traditional human being realtor would advise. This is the technology side where they've got you, you're 2 weeks away from a closing date. They now have discovered that the roof is not within their criteria, which is totally different from anyone else's criteria for late in the game. So now you have 2 weeks before closing and you've got to take another $10,000 off of your sale price in this contract 2 weeks before closing. And you either cancel and, you know, maybe you've bought another home. Maybe you have a moving truck coming. Maybe your life has totally been planned around this closing date. And now you are in a position where you can't necessarily change the pattern. You're now in a position, your back is against the wall, where you have to make that reduction in the price or pay for a particular repair late in the contract, like right before closing. So, you know, in any contract situation, please, please, please read it. Please get a counsel. Even if you're going to try and sell your house by yourself, God bless you. Call me when you're frustrated, because, you know, you'll get to a point where you don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, you could get yourself in trouble. So you'll probably spend that money, you know, on legal counsel, which is fine, perfectly fine. But they're probably some charge way more than what the success fee would be for a realtor who's in the market every day doing this 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 24/7, depending on what your business model is. And I wanted to touch quickly, Cody brought up investors. So the iBuyer is basically based on what the investors were doing. You know, independent investors, mom and pop companies, they've taken that business model and made it a corporate version. So I question how long this is sustainable with the amount of money that they're spending on marketing themselves as an iBuyer. And, you know, they're integrating with some real estate brokerage models. I get that. But what are those companies? You know, I'd like to see their balance sheet to see how well it's going before I would invest in any company like that. But that's just, you know, that I'm a little more risk adverse. So maybe they will come and go if we can get out in front of it and say, hey, listen, you need a human being to tell you whether or not your house stinks, and if they're going to be able to sell it, you know, for top dollar in tip top shape. So just a couple points I wanted to finish up with. And
that scenario was so stressful. That was so stressful. And I'm not even doing it.
It gives me the shakes just thinking about being in a situation where you're 2 weeks away from closing and you have a moving truck and your iBuyer now says that the roof is too old and they want a reduction, built-in reduction. You have to agree or you can cancel.
Yeah, no. See, a champion is my worst case scenario in a transaction this big. That is exactly that. We're all on the same page. Holy moly.
There's another piece about the human element. I don't know about you, but I don't know any iBuyer or online lending company that is going to bring you the documentation, spend the time with you to explain it, and possibly bring you some alcohol so that you can lessen the stress after you've signed everything. You know, there's a friendship and a kinship that comes with, you know, these traumatic, potentially stressful and traumatic scenarios, and you need that human touch. We're the emotional steward for a lot of people through the transaction, and we willingly and daily do that. That's what we're accustomed to. We're here to fix all the problems and find all the resources and head the challenges at every turn.
And a good way to put that is you guys put out a lot of fires. You guys are consistently putting out fires. Communication, I would say communication is the #1 thing in the real estate transaction. If you do not have communication from all points, then you are going to be lost in that transaction. And you have to make sure that you understand what's going on. Like, you don't want someone who's just gonna be like, yep, sign this, you're good. You sign this and we're good. And they're not explaining it to you.
They just send it for e-sign without an explanation.
Absolutely, yeah, you need an explanation. I mean, go ahead.
I'm working a deal right now that is filled with obstacles. And believe me, some computer somewhere or some customer service somewhere would not do you any justice with the things that I have to deal with. So yeah,
Yeah.
You need that human element.
Absolutely. And, you know, putting out those fires are what saves those deals from going and ending. So that's the whole point, is you don't want to be in a situation like Katey mentioned, where you're stuck, you have a moving truck, you need to go. It's a simultaneous close and you can't make it happen. And sometimes these other, like, mortgage companies or whatever it might be, they might be in another time zone. And if they can't communicate with you in the same, like, if it's 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. here, but it's 6 a.m. there, and you're trying to get a hold of them and it's not computing because they're not up, it's, you need answers when you need answers. So
100%.
use
100%, Lucy.
right. So, and I mean, we've dealt with that. We have dealt with lenders who are in California or wherever they are, and they're like, I'm sorry, I don't have time for you. Like, literally have told us they don't have time for us. And like, there's a whole time difference. And they're like, oh yeah, well, sorry, we weren't open. Well, we needed the package by hand. Why didn't you send it to us ahead of time? It's insane. So just, you know, having accountability.
That's Realty open 24/7. We send the email to everybody that's involved and said, hey, here I am. You got a problem, I'm the guy. Come, call me, right?
Yeah, having a problem with paperwork that should be a simple fix or should just require, you know, a conversation between a couple of professionals, sitting in an online account waiting for you to go in and check the status of your progress during this transaction. That would be so incredible. You have no idea, if you're not in this game, how much effort and love we put in behind the scenes, because ultimately we get not only paid, forget being paid. How about referral business? How about residual business, which ultimately is what locals are trying to achieve in their marketplace with consistent results that are great. You just don't get that. Somebody else doesn't care whether your transaction is going to succeed or fail if their, you know, toes aren't in the same sand. They're just not.
Absolutely. And, you know, having the communication, even if you talk to a local lender or a local realtor, and I think anyone who is, especially on these calls, will sit down with you and go over the difference with you. They will absolutely sit down with you and be like, okay, this is what they've given you. That's fine. And they will tell you, if for some reason all the bows are tied on that deal, they'll tell you that's a better deal. They will tell. But if it's not, they're going to explain to you, okay, it's not a good deal because this, and this. Look at all these hidden things. Like, but everyone here is going to have that trust, and they want to help you, because we don't want to see, I don't want to see anybody go through that horrible situation. We think about it, that human connection again, where we wouldn't want to be in that situation ourselves. So go ahead, Katey. I see the light bulbs.
Lucy, 100%. So I agree with you. And let me just add, as a realtor, as a licensed real estate agent, salesperson, or broker in the state of Florida, we have an ethical and legal duty to the customer to put their needs ahead of ours, 100%. So you can take that in front of a judge, you can take that in front of an ethics grievance committee, and you're going to lose. So the customer is always, their best interest is always ahead of the licensee or the realtor. And there are different ways that real estate agents can work in the marketplace. They can be a realtor under the ethical guidelines and adhere to those things and be a part of the community, or they can be outside of that and be a real estate agent, not in the realtor world, not in the MLS. Both are perfectly fine. But the realtors are guided by the ethics that are across the nation. We are obligated for rules, ethical guidelines, and we are all under the state and national laws. And our state is very clear that the customer their best interest must be ahead of our own best interest. 100%.
Yeah, we're held accountable.
Absolutely.
And accountability is really important, because a lot of times if you're just working with people who don't know you, don't care about you, they're going to pass the buck off onto someone else. And you're like, no. And I mean, what can you do? If they're all the way over there, what can you do but try and call them? If it's someone local, you know where their office is, you can go knocking on their door. Be like, hello, I need an answer. You know what I mean? It's just, it's common sense, truthfully, but it's so valuable. And we just have to make sure that it's such an important topic, and that's why we came on and discussed this. And every week we have a new topic. Katey, I mentioned you were referencing to the real estate transaction process video that we had done. So you guys can always go and look at that on our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services. We have all of the past Thursday's top tips in real estate that we have done with different topics: rent versus buy, new construction, all of these different things. It is a resource. We come on every week to be a resource to you guys so that you guys can learn a little bit more about all that's going on in real estate. And real estate is so crazy busy right now. There's so much going on. So we really want, it's important to make sure you have people who are behind you that are your team. Does anybody?
Look at all the hats we wear.
So many hats.
Teacher, therapist, shoulder.
Yes, absolutely. And one last point for me, I guess, is the people that you use, whether it be, me as your title, or Katey, or Alannah, or any of us on here, we become friends with you. And it's like we build those relationships with you. We're going to send you Christmas cards. We're building relationships with you like long term. It's not just, oh, thanks for the business, peace out, see you never. Like, enjoy the house.
So,
that's not what's happening.
So can I touch on that, Lucy? Because that's a great point. So the first question somebody on the snarky side of the spectrum would ask is, well, what value is that to me after the deal's closed? I've gotten what I've wanted out of it. And I'll tell you, the ability to be able to pick up your phone whenever you're having a conversation with anybody and they are waxing poetic about their woes, you can go, whoa, let me shoot you this number, or let me call so-and-so. I'll bet they'll have somebody they can recommend. They make you look like you're hot stuff. You know what you're talking about. You're connected. And it's that little network that you build, that you ask them questions to advise you beyond your transaction. Those are people you go to for resources. Those are people that you go to eventually ask, will you refer me business? Like, there's so much integrated in that relationship that's really valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think we have, if you're just tuning in now, you just missed a great conversation. So you guys have to watch this replay of Humans versus the Machine. Rewind. You can always watch the replays on, again, our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services. And this topic was, again, Humans versus the Machine. And wow, just great information, guys. So going on to the second segment of our little discussion here. It is Thursday's top tips in real estate. So what's your number one top tip for this week? Katey Bourgeois, take it away.
Katey Bourgeois with the Bourgeois Real Estate Group. So my top tip is a repeat. I don't know how many times I've said it and how many times I will say it into the future. Please do your research and hire an expert. Hire a local expert. Hire a local expert. Hashtag local expert. They're going to be your best resource, and we like to be the source of resources. So do your research and hire the right local expert, and they should absolutely be a source of resources throughout the whole transaction, from getting your house ready to sell so you can buy something else, all the way through to simultaneous happy closing. And then those things that come up after the fact, you need a plumber, you need a AC guy after the fact, or something you want to add, something, paint, floors. We've got all those people. We're not just the transaction, we're the whole real estate experience.
Absolutely. Carol, what about you?
Mine's the same. Local, Carol Dulles, Gateway Mortgage. You want to get it pre-qualified by a local lender, someone that you can trust, and someone that is an expert like myself that has over 35 years in this business. And if I cut off, we're having a pretty bad thunderstorm. It's freaking me out over here.
Same. I was like, my thing keeps saying that there is. I'm like, is it capturing the thunder? I don't know.
I've had myself muted, but if it cracks and I disappear, that's where I've gone. But
yeah, I think that's where Cody's in Kansas now. Just kidding. But
staying on topic, local lender.
Yes, local lender. Alannah, go.
Listen, once you've got tip 1 and tip 1.5 down, go back to tip 1. That is the only thing you need to have and you need to know. But assuming that you've got that down and you're ready for more, trust us. Let us do our job. Let us serve you at a high level. You don't take on a flight and then tell the pilot you're going to fly the plane. Like, you expect that they're there to take care of the trip and you're going to get to your destination safely. So sit back, relax, and let us do our job.
I liked that analogy. That was very good. And Cody is back in time to say his top tip of the week. We just hashed out
folks.
the whole professional, but
Today's thunderstorm is
yeah,
even affecting my cellular service. I don't know what's going on today.
Crossing the county, man.
Right. So my top tip would be to trust your local professional.
Well, look at that.
It's almost like that's really important, folks.
Across the board.
Buying a house is one of the biggest purchases that you're going to make. And there are going to be some obstacles, but it's not the end of the world. There's always a solution. We are kind of trained to find them. It might take a little bit, but we'll find it. So it's not the end of the world. So, just because something's gone wrong doesn't mean that that's the end of the deal or it's the end of the world. There's always a way. So trust us, lean on our shoulder. We got you. And,
I love it.
It'll be okay.
I love how we had 2 tips and we just, that's it. Local professionals, trust us. We've got you.
Up with a third one if we need one more.
No, it's good. You can go ahead. You can say another topic.
All day long.
There's many. We've talked about them over the weeks. It's good. No, and it's just truly important. And we hope that you guys found value in this, because there is so much in real estate that goes on. Not one person knows everything. Not one, and we're in it every single day, guys. So please just take that into account. I can't speak. Into account that if one person in the real estate industry that spends hours, more than 40 hours, I'll tell you that, a week in the real estate industry does not know it all, then how do you expect that interaction online is going to be, or you even trying to do it on yourself, and the stress that comes with that. I mean, like Katey said, you know, we are not against going out for a drink to calm the nerves. So, you know, we're here to be a resource for you guys. Does anybody have any announcements that they want to make about the next week? Ooh, I always see Katey, you're like, you're literally the animation with like the light bulbs, like your face. Go ahead, Katey.
So I just wanted to announce our open house this weekend down in Jupiter, Somerset, Abacoa. Pat Dolan with our office is going to be hosting 225 Marcia Drive, number 312, asking $259. It's a condo on the 3rd floor. So if you see our signs down in Abacoa, yes, that's us. We're all over from Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River County. So give us a call, 772-444-6989 if you want to check out our condo. And then we'll have some open houses into the future too. We're following the rules and doing what we need to do to get these properties sold for our very motivated sellers.
Yes, very motivated indeed. Anybody else have any announcements?
Got one.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We at the Dean's List Group YouTube page, check us out. We just popped on a couple new visuals of our brand new listings that we just dropped today. So if you're interested in the Port St. Lucie market, please take a look. You'll get to see everything you need to see, and all the information is right there for you.
Love it. Thank you. Anything else, Carol, Cody? No?
I just want to mention, because since I'm so loud about this whole internet thing, I do use a lot of social media. I am on a lot of pages. You can reach me there, right? But I give you my all. I give you my all. So that's just for marketing, but you get my personalized service.
Absolutely. There is a time and place for social media and the internet, and utilizing it to get all the info. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We're live on Facebook right now because we're trying to get this important information out to you. So my little announcement, I'm actually going to do a little plug for our Market Update Monday. So we do this Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate every Thursday at 2 p.m. And you guys can always tune in live and hear the new discussions that we talk about. We talk about a different topic every week. But Market Update Monday, we have every Monday at 2 p.m. And that we have local realtors come on and talk about what's on the market, how the market is doing from the seller's perspective, because this is kind of the buyer's perspective and such like that. Katey's doing the Market Update Monday right here, right now. But yes, so it's just, we're really just trying to provide a value for you guys and communicate with you guys and educate you guys on what's going on. So if you guys have absolutely any questions, you guys can contact any of the amazing local professionals on this call. Their information is in the description of this video. Reach out to them. They're more than willing to help with any questions that you have. I know I trust them, and you've probably gotten to know them from watching all of our videos, and you probably know them pretty well by now. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on and to pick your guys' brains, because, you know, multiple brains are better than one, so we can get the information out there. So thank you guys for watching. We hope you have an amazing rest of your week. Bye for now. See you guys next Thursday at 2 p.m.
Bye.